What's going on, guys? Pansy here, and in this video I'm going to show you my worker empire. We're going to go by town to town, and I'm going to go in depth in terms of every node and what type of worker I have working on those. So this is long overdue. I did record the official guide back in February, but I never released it, and editing it has been such a pain. But this video is going to be a lot more up to date because my worker empire has changed and improved since then, and I finally finished out all of the towns. So it is exactly where I want it to be, and I am now happy with it. So, you know, at least now I can show you the full product and not the theoretical product, because it does change from time to time. Prices change. I experiment, find new things and stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the informational portion I made for the guide previously, and then we're going to play the actual town by town. If you're not familiar with all the recent changes they've done over the past year, they've really improved worker empires, and it's a lot different than what it used to be a few years ago. It's much easier to build up. This might seem overwhelming, but trust me, once you know the basics, you can literally build up any town within a week with all artisan workers, correct race and everything, provided you know you have the energy to roll for workers and you got a little bit of RNG there. But it is really easy. Anyone can do it. Don't feel overwhelmed. Just take it step by step. So save this video. You know, timestamps will be in the bottom. You know, come back to it. Go one step at a time, and I'm sure you're gonna have a banging worker empire by the end of it as well. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's start off with the very basic, the foundation. What the heck are workers and nodes in this game? It's a unique system, honestly. I don't think any other games implemented it like this. But basically, nodes are areas in the game. You travel through the map through different areas. Each of them will have an associated node. Every area has a node, and if you look on your screen on the top left, right here, the node investment benefit, it'll tell you which node is associated with the area you're in, and there's additional bonuses and stuff involved too if you level up your nodes. That's not important. That's not a part of the worker empire, but every area in the game is nodes. So you'll have your major towns here, you know, Velia, Heidel, and all these major towns are hubs. So essentially you can hire workers at these major towns and send them out to connected nodes, and they'll be able to gather materials for you while you're online in the game. Now, there is a lot of depth to this. There are different types of workers. There's different grades of workers. You can level up your workers. They'll have passive skills, and there's a lot you can do to min-max things. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. You know, when you're starting out, it's perfectly fine to start out with a skilled worker or a professional worker. They're easy to get, and it's something to get you started. But it's not difficult to get them up to the maximum level that is artisan. So when I'm going through the nodes and everything, I'm going to tell you, hey, maybe you should put a goblin over here, or maybe a giant performs better. That is subject to change, you know, depends on the levels and individual stats, because that's one thing could vary from like worker to worker. Sometimes the difference between a goblin and a giant is very minimal. Other times it's a pretty huge difference, and the distance of the node plays a factor. The type of loot that drops there plays a factor. So there's a lot of variables involved, and we're going to try to keep it as simple as possible. So let's get started with what workers are. So on your UI, mine's all the way in the bottom left here, but basically this pickaxe button, you click that, you will see your workers if you have any. So in this menu, I'll start with the menu, and then I'll tell you how to hire them. So how to get workers and stuff. But this menu has two major tabs. That's the worker status. You'll go through all the workers here, and then you can interact with them and do some changes and stuff here. Like, for example, you can fire them. Or you can change a skill. Once they're level 30, I believe. Yes, 30. You can sacrifice 20% of their XP to reroll one of these skills. And these are passives. And depending on what you use the worker for, they're better passives. Like, for example, why the heck do I need advanced life clothes production for a goblin that never, ever touches workshops? Same with tool knowledge. Absolutely useless. So we can just click that and hit that and re-roll it. See that? Work speed +1 W. Basically you can do quite a few things, and workers have levels associated with them, and I'm going to tell you about that because at certain levels you'll get opportunities to promote them. That is, every 10 levels they'll get one promotion chance, and you can promote them, and there's a percentage chance, fixed rate, to push them to the next tier. For example, let's take this guy. This is a level 20 guy. So I'm going to stop his work here and I'm going to show you the promotion screen. So these are the rates. It takes 8 hours or you can pay to win, apparently. So you skip that 8 hours. Utterly useless. Don't do it. Don't give them money for that, but just wait it out. So you have different workers. There are different tiers. You can promote them to higher tiers, and there are different races. Depending on the race, there's going to be bonuses involved. And in order to hire a worker, all you have to do is press the Find NPC button on your screen. Hit the worker icon right here, and it'll take you to the work supervisor. There's one in every major town and stuff, right? Or any town which you can have workers. So you can just go over there, press R, and you'll have a few options here. The worker exchange is where you can buy from other players. I definitely do buy workers. Like sometimes you'll find ones that are pretty good. For example, here, an artisan giant. Giants are really valuable. And this one is in Heidel, a major town. Heck yeah, I'm going to buy it. Uh-oh, I don't have enough lodging. Let's go make some space. All right, who's going to get cut? Let's see this guy. He has 2 promotion chances. You know what? This guy. All right, fired him. Let's go pick up that giant. There we go. It's worth every silver right there. Cool. Anyway, you can buy workers and hire them for yourself. You can register your own workers for sale. At level 40 at Artisan, they're worth 101 million silver. Of course, these jackass worker supervisors, they'll take 30% of the cut, but you can sell workers as well. So the primary way, though, is to hire workers by rolling your energy. It takes 5 energy per roll. You just click contract workers, and then you select which area or which town you want to roll the worker in. So this is one of those new features that was added, where before you had to go to the individual town. Now you don't need to. You just go to any work supervisor and you can roll workers in any town. So it is way easier and really nice. So here, let's try it out in Altinova. So the first thing I got is a giant. So let's hop over to my visual aid of a public website, and we'll take a look at the different tiers and the different bonuses for each race. So here we're going to take a look at the different races of workers in the game. So in most of the towns in the mainland, you're going to have the usual goblin, giant, and human. They have different stats. Goblins have the least amount of stamina, giants have the most amount of stamina, and humans have a medium amount of stamina. Stamina is the amount of work they can do. Like every time they go and harvest a node, it takes out 1 stamina. So having a higher stamina pool means they can keep going longer without having to be fed. So even though goblins have the lowest stamina, they do have a talent, which is work speed increase. So they have the fastest work speed. They'll go the quickest. However, giants have their own talent, that is production increase. It's a massive amount of increase in resources that they can gather. And then humans have a luck increase. So luck is going to play a factor when there's resources with some special loot. You have your main ore, and then there could be a special trace or something, which having higher luck is theoretically supposed to increase your rate of getting those special loot. But however, in most cases, giants and goblins are better. I found like 2 nodes where humans actually pull ahead by like a tiny margin, but it's very minimum. So humans, we're going to ignore them. Then in the Kamasylvia region, in Grana and stuff, and Old Wisdom Tree, you're going to have Papus and Fedas. So these 2 little dudes, you know, they're just like the goblin and the giant. So Papu, they're going to have a higher work speed. Fedas is going to have a production increase. In Odraxia, in O'dyllita, you'll have a dwarf, and they're basically like goblins as well, high work speed. You'll also have a human, and they're going to have like a chain around their neck. There's some slavery shit going on over there. I don't know what the lore is, but yeah, we're going to ignore that one. And then in the Land of the Morning Light, you have 3 different ones. So you have the Dokubi, which is like a goblin, Shellfolk, which are like giants, and Dolsway, which are just humans. So yeah, same things. Work speed increase, production increase, luck. So yeah, and also, of course, it's not just work speed. Goblins, Papu, dwarves, and Dokubi, they have high movement speed as well. So, you know, the humans are in between, giants slow, but they bring a lot of resources. So when we're going through each major hub and town, I'm going to be pointing out, you probably want to have a giant here. You probably want to have a goblin. In most of the cases, it's a minor difference. Not like you're making double the amount for having a giant versus a goblin. Except in like 1 or 2 nodes, I did see a pretty large difference. Now, if you're wondering where I get my stats from, there's a pretty complex calculator called Workerman, and you can upload a export file from your computer into here, And basically it takes all the information of your nodes, your workers and everything, and you can put it in here and you can see the calculations on approximately how much money you're able to make. But there is some variables involved and it's pretty complex. It's not going to be 100% accurate because there are modifiers that you have to go in and update, and some people might not know how to do it. So in this video, we're not going to be talking about how to use this. This isn't the only tool I use. I'm also comparing for a lot of major resources, the central market history in terms of the trend that's going on and the long-term trend, at least as best as I could. I did quite a bit of research before I started putting this video together. So anyway, back to the game here. And I think we covered everything in terms of how to hire a worker, but you can also continuously view it. So you can set the grade of worker you're looking for, where it'll stop once it's rolled on them, and then the number of times you want to roll. I'm going to leave it at max for the energy I have, and it's just going to keep automatically rolling for you until it hits a professional or you run out of energy. And make sure you have a little bit of silver on you, so when it does roll onto one, you're not broke. So make sure you have some silver. They're not expensive. Even the artisan aren't too expensive, but make sure you have some so you can actually pick them up. Now, in terms of hiring the workers, every town is going to give you one free worker slot. But in order to hire more workers, you need lodging. There are a few ways to increase lodging. Firstly, you can come in to any town and you can pick up the houses which have lodging in them. In order to find which ones, click the drop down on the top right, hit lodging, and it'll put arrows on the ones that have lodging available. And you can do that in any town. It really helps because some of these towns have a lot of houses that you can pick up. So that's one way. So yeah, and this takes CP. You can see right here how many contribution points they cost. Getting your contribution points up is not very difficult. Once you start going through a lot of quest lines as a beginner, you'll see it start taking up pretty quickly. And once you're more established in the game, you can even do AFK cooking to get byproducts called Witch's Delicacy from cooking any meal, RNG chance. But you can turn those in for contribution point experience. And that's how people power level their contribution points. I'm working on mine. I just started AFK cooking again, and I'm going for 450. And when you're leveling up CP, it takes more and more CP to get to the next bracket, and next bracket. So I'm trying to get to 450. After that, it's very difficult and very time consuming. So we'll stop there. But it's not just through CP that you can increase your lodging. Yes, you can use CP to buy these homes, but of course, this is Black Desert Online, made by Pearl Abyss. Hell yes, there's going to be an influence of Cash Shop here. So come over to the Cash Shop, just hit lodging and you'll see it all. You can use loyalty points to pick up one worker slot in the major cities. I picked up a few. You can see down here. For your loyalty, the Velia, Heidel, Altinova, Valencia, and Duvencrune. Those are the ones I picked up. So you can only get one per from loyalty alone, and that's a lot of loyalty points if you're new. But otherwise, you can also spend pearls. There are times when they do sales for the entire category here, so when they do that, it's kind of worth to be able to come and pick up your lodgings through here. But otherwise, it can get pretty pricey if you add up all the towns. So only pick them up as you need them, or don't even pick them up. I only just started picking them up once I began min-maxing recently. Like for years, I had none of these. I only did it through CP, and that's perfectly fine. I'm a content creator. If I'm spending money because I am planning to make more money by making content. You, on the other hand, don't give them your money for free. You know, make them earn it, make them grovel, make them. All right. So lodging, you can get it through CP by unlocking the notes. And yeah, and also in certain connecting towns, there's also like connecting working nodes where you can actually pick up. There are also houses you can pick up and it'll affect your main town. For example, Altinova, you can pick them up here. So you can get lodging over here. For example, where is it? This one. So you can get two over there. It costs a lot of CP, you know, you got to put CP in order to get it, but it will affect your Altinova place. So if it's not on here on this list and it's a connecting little town like that, you know, take a look. There might be some lodging over there. All right, now let's talk about the different grades. So as you probably heard, I've been mentioning professional worker, artisan worker. And yes, artisan workers are the best. But here are the 5 grades that represent workers in this game. You got naive, which is white named, general workers, which are green, skilled workers, which are blue, professional workers, which are gold, and artisan workers, which are orange. Now, as they go from tier to tier, grade to grade, they're going to get better stats, more stamina, and they'll be better overall. Honestly, it's pretty easy to get professional workers if you have a decent energy pool, if you have alts, which you can use the energy to roll on. But if you're a new player, it's perfectly okay to do a skilled worker or just pick up some professional workers off the worker exchange, even if they have 0 promotions, just to get you started. But if you do have some energy and some patience, I suggest you start rolling for workers, professional and artisan. Artisan are very rare, but I have gotten some of them in the last couple of weeks. Like, it is possible. You can also buy artisan workers from the worker exchange, as you've seen. So you can even stock it and just, check it every hour or so. But aim for professional workers with your energy and try to upgrade them or through promotions and stuff. So that's a good place to start. But by the end of it, you're going to have all artisan workers. That is the goal. They have the most earning potential and they're the best. All right, now let's talk about how to use your workers and then how to feed them. So keep working. We know how to pick up workers. We know what nodes are. We know the different types of workers. Now let's take a look at how to actually utilize them. So I'm in Velia here and I have some nodes connected and we got some workers already working. Let's go kick one of these guys off so I can show you how. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do, and then we're going to withdraw the contribution. So in order to invest contribution points, it's really easy. You just click on a node and you hit invest contribution. If you don't have a value pack, you're going to have to actually run over there and talk to the node manager. So I hope you have a value pack because this is a pay to win game. Anyway, and then in order to unlock the resource nodes, which are within the main nodes, you just click on the main node here. I'll go into it and then you can click on one of the resource nodes and hit invest contribution. And then, whenever you click on one of these, you'll see a little menu with all your available workers. And remember, they have to be connected to these nodes in order to actually make the trip over here. If I put Calpheon here and says start working, it's saying it needs to be connected. So that doesn't work. So you can only use workers from the town they're connected to. I could connect Velia all the way down here to Heidel and then send my Velia workers all the way to all these other nodes, as long as the whole network is connected. So in order to actually put them on here, you just click on the node and then you click on the worker you want to put. The number of times you want them to work, we put maximum so they never stop. And then we can press start work. But before we do, take a look at the little stats over here. So there's workload, work speed, distance, movement speed, and luck. So what workload and work speed is this and this are going to be parts of the equation to calculate how much time it's going to take for your worker to come back. So firstly, workload is how long it takes them to do the work, and that's modified by work speed. And then distance and movement speed is how long it takes them to get to the node. So a combination of these two is going to be how long it's going to take for them to actually do the work. The Foundry has a little bit of an explanation here. So let's just use their example right here. So for example, if they have a 400 workload and 106.61 work speed, they can divide it and they'll get 3.7. And then that is rounded up, meaning it'll take 4 ticks to complete the task. And each tick in this game is 10 minutes. So it'll take 40 minutes to actually complete the task on the node. Then you have to calculate the distance, which is going to be the distance divided by movement speed times 2. And that's going to give you 119 seconds. That's a minute 59. And you combine them, you're going to get 41 minutes and 59 seconds. Anyway, we don't need to do all that calculation. I just want to tell you how these stats come into play. So don't worry about that. We'll hit that and then we can start the work. But this is a new feature that was added recently. Before it was only for level 40 artisan workers, but now it's for every worker. So you can freely use this. Basically, you see a little destination drop down here. You click it and you can select which storage those loot are going to be deposited in. So I wonder if you need the Magnus unlocked for this. How else would those resources get there? Anyway, so we're going to start the work. That's basically how you set a worker on a node, how you invest in a node. And yeah, of course, you need to have a node in a network in order to get to the further away nodes. I can't just immediately invest in this one here. I have to invest in Finta Farm in order to get to Iwas Hill. So this is where the network comes into play. And this is where the Empire comes into play. because each of these nodes cost contribution. Each of these resource nodes cost contribution points. So if you have a really good node, like Ancient Stone Chambers excavation node here, just connecting all of these is going to take a lot of contribution points. And if you took 10 contribution points to connect all of these guys just to get to this, that's not going to be a lot of money. Even if you're making 5 to 6 mil, 7 mil a day from this one node, then you're going to have to calculate how much money you're making per contribution point, and that's going to be really bad. So when you're going for faraway nodes, you're going to make sure that there are some useful nodes in between as well in order to offset some of the loss from the amount of contribution points you're spending. And sometimes you'll find nodes that are right next to town, immediately next to that are really good. For example, right here in Tarif, Lumberjack's Rest, the Cedar Timber and Spirit Sleep Node, really good one. So it's like certain areas will have those really nearby ones. Here's another one, fun one. Sorry for the detour, but in Sandgrain Bazaar, right next to it in Kaposha, this mining node's really good. So like that, there are some which are really close by, but a lot of times, for example, over here, these two nodes are excellent nodes. They're really far away, but in order to get there, I connected them all the way from Heidel all the way up here. So now I can send my giants over here. Like, for example, we have these two that I just bought off the marketplace. So let's just go ahead and send them over. But yeah, in order for me to get all the way here, I connected a lot of nodes. So this network actually doesn't even go the shortest path because I'm already connecting these. So then I just skip from here, all the way here, all the way here. And then over here, I'm picking up a node here. I'm picking up a node here. Then when I come in over here, I'm taking a detour here. And I plan to also get this one. I'm pretty sure I have somebody here, right? No? Okay. They're probably taking a promotion test right now, but I will put another worker there. So this entire network together is going to make a lot of money. But if I had to spend multiple hops worth of CP just to get to one node, that's not worth it. So that's why this is a network. This is an empire. So when you're going through this guide, make sure you develop town by town. If you're splitting your resources too thin, then you're not going to be seeing the progress you want to, because it's not just about picking up the nodes and putting a worker there. You have to develop the workers. You have to develop your roster. You need a lot of workers. And in the beginning, you might not even be picking up just the really efficient nodes here. You're going to pick up additional nodes so you can level up a lot of workers together, pick up extra lodging, even though you're going to be exceeding all the nodes that I'm recommending, but you're going to be able to level up a lot of workers together. You're going to promote them all as fast as possible. And then you're going to be able to progress to artisan a lot quicker and actually put them where they belong. So this is a process. This does take time, but it's one of the fun little side activities in BDO that you don't see in other games. And it's something really unique, and I've enjoyed it over the years. Okay, now we know how to put a worker on a node. Let's talk about how to feed them. So they take a different type of foods. The one I use and what a lot of people use is grilled bird meat. You can use beer too or any other food, but look at the price versus the energy recovered, the stamina recovered ratio, and you're going to see a lot of them aren't worth it. So grilled bird meat, really easy to do. You got chicken nodes. You can cook your own grilled bird meat pretty easily and sustain yourself, or you can just buy it off the marketplace pretty quick and cheap. But yeah, I use these, and if you put them in your family inventory like I did right here, you can click this little button here, so it auto recovers it. So you don't have to actually, back in the day we had to actually manually come in and click recover all and manually feed them, but it'll keep auto recovering as long as it's in your family inventory and until you run out. So you can just, it's a lot easier to maintain and keep them going. All right, last thing I think, let's talk about promoting workers. It's not just as simple as promoting them. There is some strategy to this because it takes more XP every level they gain in order to get to the next level. So to get to level 20, you'll get your workers, even at professional, really quickly to level 20. But then level 30 is going to take some time. It might take a week or two. And then getting to level 40 will take a couple of weeks at least. So it's going to be a very steep increase going from level 20, 30, and 40. And that's important because at every 10 levels, you're going to get a promotion chance. If you look on the UI, let me find someone who's right here. Okay, a professional. So there's a promotion chance. He has one promotion chance. That means I can try promoting him one time. Right now, his promotion isn't in progress. It'll be done in another 7 hours. So we'll let that go. But getting your workers to level 20, rolling the 2 promotion chances, and then firing them is a legit and useful strategy to do. Don't get attached to your workers until they're artisan, okay? Get them to 20, try them out twice. If they fail, fire their ass and hire someone who will succeed. So leveling up your workers to 20, rolling it twice, and then firing them is a really good way to do it. Don't wait till 30. And as you can see here, I have multiple workers doing promotion tests right now. You can put as many guys into promotion as you want. Like for example, this guy, he's 21. It's time for him to start promoting. This was actually a new change and I really like it because it really speeds up how quickly you're advancing your worker empire. Before, it took 8 hours for a single worker. So you had to constantly be on top of that. Before, you know, we had to do it one by one. You start a promotion in the morning, start one in the evening. You know, you had to be on top of it because there's a lot of workers and it took 8 hours for a single worker. Now you can put as many as you want up. So it really speeds up the process. It's much nicer. So the recent changes have been really goated. They've done some changes over the last year and, you know, it's improved worker empires. Once upon a time, getting 100 mil a day was like dope. Now, upwards to 500 mil a day, especially with where is it? Royal Workshops. This is a whole separate guide, not this video. So, including this, you'll see a lot of money. It's a noticeable amount of money. So, someone like me who AFK fishes, AFK farms, you know, well, farming is AFK, but you know what I mean. AFK cooks and doing a lot of these passive incomes is how I progress. I have a cash stack of over 80 bill and I've grinded less than 1 hour in the last month. And, you know, I've actually earned over 100 bill, but I spent money. So I can't really flex. I made 100 bill in the last 2. But you know what I mean? It is worth building this up. It takes time. And if you're not interested in this kind of gameplay, the planning, the maintenance, the managing and stuff, don't bother. You're not really missing out. You can make money other ways. I mean, make this as a side hobby, something to distract yourself with, but don't stress yourself over it. Remember, every aspect of the game is pay to win. Unless you like it, don't bother with it. There's always something else you could be doing. But if you do enjoy it, then let's go. All right, now it's time for me to go over my worker empire. I'm going to go town by town and node by node and worker by worker in terms of which type of worker I have on which node. And I'm going to give you a tour of my entire empire. I'm not going to go over any towns or nodes that I haven't invested in, even if they may have some niche or different purposes. My goal with my worker empire is to generate as much raw materials that can sell for the most amount of silver per day. I'm not changing these materials into anything else. And this is purely to just sell these items and make as much money passively as possible. So without further ado, let's get to it. Behold my worker empire. All right, starting things off with Velia. Velia is one of the first towns I developed, and here are all the nodes that I have workers working on. First one, let's take a look at Finto Farm over here. We got a potato node, we got a giant worker over there. Chicken node, we got a giant worker over there. And we got Iwa's Hill. We got the ash timber and ash sap node, the lumbering node over here. We got a goblin worker over there. That's probably one of the later ones that you develop here. Most important, the chicken one here, and then I like to come down here and then go here. But over here in Bartali Farm, we got the potato node, we got a giant worker, chicken node, we got a giant worker. Over here, you take the Tuscany Farm. Don't pick up any of the nodes here. It's just a connecting node. Forest of Seclusion, you got a lumbering node, goblin worker over there. And at Ancient Stone Chamber, you got the excavation node. You got a goblin worker over here. And finally, I did pick up this node here at Belano's Forest, the lumbering node here. I got a goblin worker sitting over here. That pretty much sums up Velia. Next up is Heidel. Heidel is a bit of a big one because it extends a pretty considerable distance into Madaya region as well. But there are some nodes here that you're going to be picking up from Glish since they are closer. Some nodes from Tarif. So let's just take this step by step. Starting off in Heidel, you got the classic Lynch Farm ruins over here, right in the left. Excavation node with a goblin worker. Northern Plains of Serendia. You have the lumbering node, a giant worker here. And if you'd like, you can actually pick up this fleece production node here. I haven't picked it up, but I would recommend a giant worker there. Now, these nodes are very close to Heidel right here and here, right? So you can use these for leveling up workers. Once they're leveled up and promoted and they're artisan and you're ready to put them to actual work, you can drop these nodes. But right now I have this pumpkin node here with a human worker because I had a few human workers in the past, and that's the only node or one of the two nodes I found where human actually does better than anything else for whatever reason. I don't know. That's what the calculator said. So yeah, I got a human worker there. Um, that's a Costa farm. Then at Moretti Plantation, once again, these can be used for some early game mats if you're still new, if you need the wheat and stuff. But otherwise, if you're going for money like me, don't need it. But you do need the connection here. So Moretti Plantation, Eastern Gateway, and down here. There's a reason why I'm connecting these, because these three nodes here, Glish Ruins, Southern Swamp, and Serendia Shrine, these are closest to Glish. If you want them, that's going to be the best way to do it. But there's also another reason here. We're going to take Castle Ruins here. This is what you can send from Heidel, this lumbering node. Maple sap is great. And this is going to extend into Madaya region from this way. Also, this node here is actually closest to Tarif. Actually, technically it's closest to Duvencrune, but it's so expensive to develop it here. It's not worth going from Duvencrune. But you can take it from Tarif over here. So for that reason, extending down here is actually worth it. But yeah, so let's finish up Heidel and then we'll take the surrounding towns here. So once you go down Moretti Plantation, Eastern Gateway, Castle Ruins, and get this lumbering node, I got a goblin worker over here. Coming up to Kamasylvia Temple as a connecting node, we take the Ancient Ruins excavation site. We got an excavation node with a goblin worker over here. Opal over there, that's pretty dope. Then we got Ancient Fissure. There's going to be a mining node here. Put a giant over here. Then move up to Canyon of Corruption connection node. Then we go to get these nodes here. So on the right side, you got Stonetail Wasteland. There's a lumbering node, Acacia Sap, giant over here. Then at Elric Shrine, you got another lumbering node for that White Cedar Sap, giant worker over there. And then finally here, the juicy one, Madaya Northern Highlands. You got two lumbering nodes, White Cedar Sap and Maple Sap, both giant workers over here. And that rounds out everything coming in from Heidel. Over here at Tarif, right? You got Kasula Farm with the cotton node here. Put a giant here. And then coming up to Main's hideout to Auto Farm. You got another cotton farm here. Now this will allow Tarif to be connected to your primary network. Once you extend down here and you have Glish developed here, you actually have access to Kimut Labor Camp. There's two lumbering nodes here. We got Birch Sap and Pine Sap here. So since it's such a far distance away, goblin workers for those two. And finally, taking a look at Glish, you got Glish Ruins, Southern Swamp, and Serendia Shrine. So over here at Glish Ruins, you got an excavation node. I put a goblin worker there. Then Southern Swamp, you got a mining node. I put a goblin worker here. And over here at Serendia Shrine, I got a goblin worker over here. And that pretty much sums up Heidel. All right, next up is Altinova. So Altinova, you got two parts. So starting at Altinova, there's going to be the west side and the east side. So the west side is more oriented for leveling up and pretty easy nodes to acquire. Altinova entrance to Abandoned Iron Mine. You got two excavation nodes here. I got a goblin worker here and a giant worker at the platinum one. So a goblin worker on the Powder of Darkness and giant worker on the platinum node. Coming up to from Altinova entrance to Awakening Bell to Omar Lava Cave. You got two more excavation nodes here. So on the coal mine here, we got a goblin and and on the other platinum node, we got a goblin as well. And I just see I have wasted contribution points. Give me this. The reason why I had contribution points here is because I used to have lodging somewhere here. Where is it? There's one lodging there and there's two lodging there. Anyway, coming up to Altinova Gateway to Rock Post, you got Grogol Rock Belt on the left with a lumbering node with the Elder Tree Sap. We got a giant worker there. Then at Veterans Canyon, you got another lumbering node, Elder Tree Sap, with another giant worker. Coming up north to Kadri Ruins as a connector, you got Kunid's Vacation Spot. I got a goblin worker over here. And that sums up Altinova. All right, next up, Sandgrain Bazaar. This is a classic one. This Kaposha node, really close to Sandgrain Bazaar, and it's insane money for what it is. Copper node, rough opal, and all that stuff. I got a goblin worker over there. Then over here, Bazaar Farmland, definitely the nutmeg. Can't go wrong with that. Giant worker over there. Then these connecting nodes, Valencia Western Highlands, all the way down to Crescent Mountains to Crescent Shrine. So you don't need to get both of these. I did have more workers here, and then I did kind of pull away from it because the money per day here wasn't as good. So I do have one of these right now. I might put another worker over there. You can. But I got a goblin worker over here. And at Crescent Shrine, we got two of these nodes here. The date palm one, we got a goblin worker. And at the titanium mine, I got a goblin worker as well. That sums up Sandgrain Bazaar. Next up, Shakatu Village. Right next to Shakatu, you got the fig farms here at Shakatu Farmland. So 1 fig, 2 fig, figs for everybody. Goblin worker at this one and a giant worker at this one. They're pretty close, I believe, in terms of money. So even if you don't get the exact one, whatever. Yalt Canyon to Gahaz Bandit Slayer, and to Bamboo Valley, you got a Fruke node here. I got a goblin worker there. Then at Iris Canyon, at the lumbering node, the Elder Tree Sap, I got a giant worker. And the Nutmeg node, I got a goblin worker. And that sums up Shakatu Village. Next, let's talk about Valencia. There's also Arehaza we're going to be connecting through. The only node in Arehaza, wow, I didn't even realize the map shows rain. First time realizing that. Oh my god. Anyway, Arehaza is only going to need one worker, and that's going to be headed to Area Palm Forest, nothing else. Everything else is Valencia. So Valencia, starting off right here in the left, you can get all of the nodes here to level up workers quickly, but afterwards, in terms of money, here's what I recommend to get. You got the Valencia Plantation, 3K node, got a giant worker, a pistachio node, got a goblin worker, and date palm, you got another goblin worker. Then up here at Erdel Farm, you got the silkworm cocoon and silk thread. I got a giant worker here and a date palm node here with the giant worker as well. Then extending all the way to Arehaza through Area Palm Forest. Once again, this is going to be a worker from Arehaza. So I got the lumbering node here. I got a giant worker. Then extending northern sand dune to Gavinia Volcano Zone. Here we got both the excavation nodes. This is going to have a goblin worker and a giant worker on the titanium. So a goblin on the vanadium ore and a giant on the titanium ore. Coming up to the Gavinia Great Crater, I got a goblin worker on this titanium node. And then to the northeast in Gavinia Coastal Cliff, there's an excavation node with the vanadium ore. I got a goblin worker here. That sums up Valencia. Next, you have the Calpheon region. This is going to include Calpheon, Keplan, and Trent. So starting off in Calpheon, we're going to go northeast to Diaz Farm, I don't know. We're shit with names, okay? Nothing here. Northern wheat plantation, you got a few nodes. Once again, you can get all three for leveling. Paprika is utterly useless because you can buy paprika and vegetables from NPCs, right? But the wheat farm here, I got a giant worker, and a barley farm giant worker as well. Coming up here to Bernianto farm, you got the excavation node with a goblin worker. And up here at Bree Tree Ruins, there's lumbering node, birch sap, goblin worker as well. Then coming east from northern wheat plantation, you got old dandelion. There's a lumbering node for birch timber. Got a giant worker here. And north at Kurodo Cave, there's a mining node for tin ore. I got a giant worker there. That sums up Calpheon. Moving on to Keplan, this is pretty straightforward. There's just a straight shot here. Starting at Keplan to Keplan Quarry, you got a mining node here for coal. I got a giant worker here. And then North Abandoned Quarry, Oz's House to Oz Pass. And you got cedar timber here and the lumbering node. I got a goblin worker here. Now remember, extending to these three, there's CP involved in unlocking this just to get here. So this is a pretty expensive node. Probably not worth it. I had the worker in Keplan. So if anything, just prioritize the Keplan Quarry one and get these at the very late stages. All right, now this is a nice one here. We got Trent here. Starting off, let's go to Lumberjack's Rest Area. This is a really good node. Very high amount of money per day. So I got a giant worker here. Come to Abandoned Monastery to Trent Forest to the lumbering node here, I got a giant worker here. Then coming up to Bear's Cabin to Rudum Outstation, there's a mining node here with a goblin worker. And then finally, Mancha Forest. We got the fir timber sap lumbering node, and we got the gold ore and trace of nature excavation node. So for the lumbering node, giant worker, and for the trace of nature gold ore, we got a goblin worker here. By the way, if you're developing here, first go to Mancha Forest, then go to Rudum Outstation. I just said that in a weird order. All right, southeast of Trent, you got Longleaf Sentry Post connecting node, Cryoville connecting node, and Longleaf Tree Forest, where there's a lumbering node for cedar sap with a giant worker. This cedar sap node is really good, but the problem is you're spending points in these connecting nodes, so it really reduces the value. So take this in the late game. Prioritize this side of Trent first. But that sums up the Calpheon region. Nothing really in Kamasylvia I'd recommend. You could come to southern Kamasylvia for this knock ore, but kind of expensive, and like the cost to unlock this is like 4 CP, man. So I really don't recommend anything here. Same here in O'dyllita. So Odraxia, sorry. Anyway, the reason why I have 2 nodes here is because, you know, Olin's Valley, I have that leveled up in case I ever go farm Olins. But otherwise, all of these gathering nodes here, they're really expensive. They're just not worth it. There are so many better options in the game. All right, now let's get serious again. We're at Duvencrune. So one note here, this one, the Byeot labor cap, it is technically closer to Duvencrune, but you'll see how expensive it is to actually unlock it, so it's not worth it. But yeah, from Duvencrune, you go to the northwest, you got Morning Fog Post to Harrock Shelter, and then Sharakon Necropolis. You're going to have these 4 nodes over here from this point. So at Sharakon Necropolis, you got an excavation node for mithril ore. Got a giant, sorry, I got a goblin worker over there. Up here at Fountain of Origin, excavation node for mithril ore, I got another goblin worker. And then finally at Calc Canyon, 2 mining nodes, knock ore and zinc ore and mithril. So zinc ore and mithril, I got a goblin worker, and at the knock ore and mithril, I got a goblin worker as well. That sums up Duvencrune. There are some really close nodes you can pick up to level up your character or your workers quick, and then you can you know, put them where they need to be. So don't waste your time sending professional workers all the way out here. It's much quicker to keep them somewhere close and level them up. Finally, on the mainland, we got the Mountain of Eternal Winter, Eilton. So directly southwest from Eilton, we got Zvir Highlands. You got the cooking honey node here with a giant worker. You got the excavation node for trace of nature and quartz with a goblin worker. Then comes south here to Mountaintop Guard Post. You got a lumbering node here with a giant worker. Then finally, Jade Starlight Forest. You got a goblin worker for the snowfield, cedar sap, and then a giant worker for the mining node for the rough jade. Quick one here, but that sums it up. All right, now Ulukita. Actually, there's nothing here. I think the devs got lazy. They didn't put in nodes yet or something. I don't know. And finally, we got Land of the Morning Light. This is going to be pretty busy here. So bear with me. We'll go step by step. So there are a few major regions here. I completely ignore Nampo Moodle, but my primary largest network is going to be Yukjo Street because I needed workers for the Royal Workshops. I need to, looks like I need to put someone on this one, but basically you have Shellfolk workers on the green nodes here. They're the gathering nodes. And then you have human workers, a Dulceway, in the workshops here, the crafting nodes. But I got all of them coming from Yukjo Street. So let's start off with Yukjo Street right here. Coming up top left, we got the DalBoel Village. We got the first app at the lumbering node. I got a Shellfolk worker here. Then at Dungrion Cave, we got 2 nodes, mining nodes. We got a Shellfolk worker there and there. So both of them Shellfolk workers. On Yukjo Street, south side, you got a connecting node, Yunru. Then go to Wanjin Palace. You got a lumbering node here for fir timber. I got a Dokubi worker there. And then at Dang Forest, you got a mining node, zinc ore. I got a Shellfolk worker over there. Now coming up to Bukpo. So we got a few nodes here. Basically, all this over here is going to be coming from Bukpo. So starting off with Bukpo, you go to DalBoel Village and then go left to Byeot Forest. You got 2 lumbering nodes, really good nodes here. You got shellfolk workers on both of them. Then you go over to Mount Ashi excavation node here. You got a shellfolk worker there. And then down here at Myeongyun Hall, I don't fucking know. All right, excavation node, shellfolk worker there. Then you go down here to Godu Village. So starting at Godu Village, you got 4 nodes right on the main node. So, you know, short distance, right? So shellfolk worker on the radish, shellfolk worker on the rice, shellfolk worker on the rice, shellfolk worker on the cabbage. Then coming up north here at Yukjo Street, you got a lumbering node here, shellfolk worker there. Secret Society, you got a mining node here for rough opal. I got a Dokubi worker there. I think a shellfolk worker might pull ahead, but it was such a small margin, I'll let it be. Doom Ridges down here, lumbering node, pine sap, Dokubi worker there. That's west line of the morning light. Now coming over to the east side. So you have 2 main towns here, the DalBoel Village and the Nopsae's Byeot County. DalBoel Village, let's start off here. Pretty easy. Come to Byeot Valley, lumbering node here, maple sap and all that good stuff. Shellfolk worker, excavation node for the crystal decimation, trace of nature, mysterious powder. I got a shellfolk worker over there. Then coming down to the south side, southish side. I mean, technically we connected through Nopsae Byeot County down here because they're already, you know, right next to each other. You don't need to connect it down this way. It doesn't really matter. The distance of the node doesn't get affected by the connection path you take. Rather, it's a set amount. So these 2 over here at a Honglam base, this is also going to be from DalBoel Village. You got the pine sap with a lumbering node and the bracken at the gathering node. So I got a Dokubi worker here and on the lumbering and a Dokubi worker on the bracken. Now for Nopsae Byeot County, you have 4 nodes right on here, but ignore the scarlet rose bay flower, whatever that is. Just get the other 3 here. We got the cabbage shellfolk worker there, radish shellfolk worker here, and the rice shellfolk worker there. Now coming up to here, Bari Forest, lumbering node for the cedar timber, Dokubi worker here, and we got, this is the connection node for DalBoel's workers here. But down here, this is going to be, once again, Nopsae Byeot County. This is going to be Bomne County, lumbering node for the pine sap and stuff. So Dokubi worker over here. Boy, I'm out of breath now. But that's about it. All right, cool. Now let me yap some more information for you guys before we close things out. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much how my worker empire is structured. Listen, guys, this is not difficult anymore to build up. Everyone can have all artisan workers. After they remove that, you know, you need to only do promotions 1 at a time and they paywall that and all that stuff. It's good. We're good now. You can promote as many workers as you want at the same time. So, you know, yeah, it still takes 8 hours, but it goes by, man. It's in a day, you know. If you promote someone twice, you know, in a day, you'll know if you need to fire the professional worker and find someone else, or you hit artisan. So it's really easy to build this up. It just takes time. Take it step by step, town by town. Once one town is set up, move on to the next. And if you have a lot of alts, it really helps out because you have energy to work with and roll for new workers. But also keep an eye on the marketplace, the worker marketplace, so you can buy workers from other people. I found some high level artisan workers, even level 40 artisan workers on those quite often. You know, it costs like 100 mil a pop, but it saves a lot of time, right? Like the leveling process alone takes a lot of time. So for me, I felt that it was worth picking some of those up. Now, do be warned, they might have trash stats. You just got to reroll them. That's just how it goes. But I love rerolling the worker skills. Like every once in a while, I just sit there doing that, get some dopamine out of it. It's fun. So I enjoy this kind of stuff, managing an empire, and you know, it's good money. So, you know, once again, don't be overwhelmed. Take it step by step. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Check me out at twitch.tv/I'mPansy. And if you have any questions and you can't find me on stream, dude, just come into my Discord, at me there. Don't DM me on Discord. It's easier to get a hold of me in my server. I always keep an eye on that. So, you know, just at me there, no problem. So yeah, that's about it, guys. I mean, this is such a unique feature that, you know, only really exists with BDO. I really like it. And I'm glad they did buff it to somewhat of irrelevancy. I wish I could make a bill a day off this, but you know, 400 to 500 mil, I'll take it. Anyway, take it easy, guys. Catch you guys next time. Peace.